I'm here with Matt Collins, our featured comedian of the month.
Wow.
And he's going to talk to us about himself.
All right.
So, Matt, tell me about yourself.
I have to poop.
Oh, man. Do you want to do this at, 20 minutes later?
Hold on. Okay, let's start.
Crack the door. No, so, you were born and raised up here?
Right, Anchorage.
Anchorage. So, where'd you go to high school?
I went to Polaris K-12.
Oh, so...
An alternative school where I just basically taught myself not to read and write and spell.
Well, clearly that's worked out very well for you.
I talk. That's about it. That's all I can do.
Well, let's talk about your writing, I guess, since you brought up writing.
Very poorly.
Very poorly. I know your handwriting is awful, but like when you're writing a joke, do you sit down with a pen and paper and go, all right, I need to crank out some jokes, or does stuff just kind of happen and you jot it down?
I think like the best stuff that I've done, it just kind of winds up happening, and that pisses me off in some ways because I've labored over jokes before, and when I first started, which I haven't actually begun yet, hopefully I'm going to start comedy next year, which would be pretty badass, I would just like write out these page-long diatribes of all this stuff, and then one line would actually be funny. I'm really not that humorous of a person when I try to be.
Oh, that's kind of...
It's kind of sad.
It's just kind of unexpected a little bit.
I go through a lot of crap. That's what I do.
So you've been doing comedy about, 2.5 years?
No, haven't even started. I don't know. No, probably like 2 years, I guess.
Yeah.
Doing the open mics here in Anchorage.
You started at Coots or Rum Runners?
Rum Runners.
Wow.
Thanks to Kelly Lee Williams, because he was my next door neighbor,
Right.
as he's talked about many times before. And I heard him and his son were going to these open mics, and that's basically how somebody gets started in comedy. You just see somebody that you know you're funnier than, and then you just go, okay, I'm funnier than this person, that guy's doing it, so I gotta start.
Alright.
So it's really just all about negativity and competition, and a lot of very just, bullshit emotions. So fuck y'all. I'm the first comic of the month.
That's right.
Probably the first and the last.
Oh, shush.
I know it's not going to be you anytime soon.
No, I would never give myself that. So, what was your favorite show that you've done? Your best night? Even if it wasn't like your best night, one that you had the most fun doing.
No one's ever given me pot after a show, so I don't think I've ever had my best show yet. I don't think I've had my favorite.
Oh.
I don't know. There was like a few times where people just said, really good job and everything, and like when I'm only athletic in the sense to where I can get into some sort of zone. So usually if I'm doing well on stage, then I have no idea what's happening because it's just stream of conscious and it's an animalistic kind of mentality. Where as soon as I get off the stage, I'm like, I don't know what I did. And then I'll go back and I will listen to like a recording or something like that. And I was yelling about Aaron, or, I was screaming about how nobody loves me, and everyone was just cackling,
Right.
Yeah, all this really sad stuff, and everyone's just loving it. Probably something from S Lounge was probably one of my better ones. And when I have gotten to a heckler, when I've really gotten into it with a female that's in the audience, or someone that,
Generally a female.
Generally, but there's been some guys that have, been dicks as well.
Yeah.
So usually when I get into a heckler is when I have my best show.
My favorite show of yours was at the S Lounge when you were up there for 45 plus minutes.
Oh, that was terrible.
Drinking.
That was the worst.
That was hilarious.
Thank you. I think you're the only person that thought that.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm not.
There was a point in that show where they were playing Jurassic Park on the TVs, and I just said, hey, let's just watch Jurassic Park while I'm on stage.
With the
Yes, a pterodactyl.
That's right.
I need to bring back that bit, the pea bit.
I love the pea bit. It's good.
Yeah, those silent peas. Do I look comfortable? Do I look relaxed? Tell me more about myself and what you like about me.
All right. So you play drums in a band?
I do. Play drums in Shy Bones.
And how's that going for you guys? Pretty rocking?
No, we just do it for the money now, to be honest. We just like get a gig for the $30 that we're each going to get in a 3-person band. I like doing comedy a lot more than I like doing the band. You know, I was in a band. I've been in bands for about 10 years now, something like that. And Chris Coleman will tell you the same thing. Chris Coleman, I'm sure a future comic of the month. There's only 11 of us, 15 maybe, and you don't have to deal with anybody else. And you know, comedy is a lot more solo oriented. So we'll play in a band if we want the money and the free drinks.
So have you always? You said you've been in a lot of other bands. Have you always played drums, or?
I played bass very poorly for a while.
So you played bass.
Yeah, I'm the kind of guy that Hey, I took a second there. If I don't use it, I lose it. So there was a 7-year stretch where I was playing in bands all the time. And at one point, I was almost good. And then, you know, people have kids or a band breaks up and, you know, there's long stretches of times where I'm not playing at all. And then I just begin to suck. So I'm an okay drummer, and now I'm a terrible bass player, I'm sure.
So a bass player.
Yeah.
Okay. So who do you probably think is your favorite not local comedian? Like big, you know, alive or dead?
The person that made me decide to want to do stand-up comedy is Patton Oswalt.
Right.
My first favorite comic was Bill Hicks, and I was just blown away by how awesome Bill Hicks was. And then I saw / heard Patton Oswalt, like the Feeling Kind of Patton album, and that's when I decided that I want to do some stand-up comedy. And then when I first heard that, it was about maybe 2-3 years until I actually did stand-up.
So do you have a favorite joke of anyone's that you think is just the funniest shit ever?
There's so many. I think the joke that really spoke to me was Patton's KFC famous bowls bit. Yeah. The failure pile and a sadness bowl. Yeah. And I thought that was just the quintessential beautiful joke that I could say something like that one day, and I'm still aspiring to.
All right. Well, we look forward to you doing that. I know you're doing Coots on June 7th.
June 7th, this Thursday, with it's Double Impact. John Norris, myself, Nathan Hall, and Chris Coleman. And hopefully it won't be like one of my worst shows ever, where I was getting into it with a heckler, and then after the show, the woman who I was giving some shit to came up to me, looked me square in the eye, and was like, you know, putting her finger in my chest. It's like, you're not funny, you're a failure, fuck you.
Wow.
I mean, I was personally attacking her, and she personally attacked me. Like, I kind of had it coming, but it shook me in my very core.
So how did you and John start doing
because he saw me do stand-up comedy, and John was like, I'm funnier than him. I'm going to go do some stand-up comedy and be the best. And then just like, hey, why don't we do a double thing? And that was basically it. And then I just ride his coattails through the set. We do some impressions. He's funny, and then we say goodnight.
So how long do you think your guys' Double Impact set is going to be?
It's going to be 10 minutes, I think. Yeah, we're shooting for an hour show, which is for local stand-up. You know, It shouldn't be more than an hour. So 10 Nathan, 10 Chris, 15 myself, then John, and then come back for a 10 of Double Impact.
Okay.
Gives it a nice, square 60 minutes. Right. We're going to have musical guests and stuff like that as well.
Ooh.
We're going to have Seth Boyer and Hawkins and, two really talented singer-songwriters, and we're going to bring a little bit something extra to this show.
Nice. Yeah, I actually went to school with Seth, so it's always good to see him around town doing stuff.
He's very good.
Yes, he is.
Hawkins is really awesome as well. Handsome guy.
More than Seth?
I'll blow both of them. I don't give a fuck. 2 dicks at once.
You're all about it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a good enough note to end on.
Sucking dick, foe. For myself and for everybody else that has performed tonight, we are so sorry. This was like done last minute, like the mandolin player is all hungover and shit, and like stand-up comedy is like the only art form where when you perform it, you have a really good chance of just being an asshole.